This is a podcast by the News Minute, and you are listening to South Central.
Hello and welcome to South Central, a TNM podcast where we put South at the center. We're recording on the 12th of December at 12:30 p.m. In this week's episode, we'll discuss why the survivor in the Kerala actor assault case has been forced to approach the President of India. Then we look at why the clamour for Mamata Banerjee to lead the India Bloc is Rahul Gandhi not clicking, and finally, what's happening in Tamil Nadu, the politics around a book launch. Joining me in the studio is Pooja Prasanna, my colleague and the reporting head of the News Minute.
Hello.
Also joining me in the studio is Ragamalika Karthikeyan, a senior editor who's been here for a very, very long time.
Yes, I'm getting fossilized over here. Hi, Dhanya.
Hi. Joining us from Wayanad is Leena Reghunath.
Hi, Dhanya.
Leena, when are you planning to come back from Wayanad? You've been there forever, I feel.
I'll be back in Jan.
Okay, so there's a Wayanad Lit Fest coming up. People do check it out. Leena is one of the curators of the Wayanad Literature Festival. You can also donate to the festival because it's an important initiative. This time they're focusing on ecology, climate, other than literature. And the guest of the day is poet, author, activist, a lot of ways in which I can describe her, Meena Kandasamy from Chennai. Welcome, Meena.
Hi, Dhanya. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us at South Central. So, before we go into the podcast, there's a fifth episode. Let me remind everyone that every month we'll have one The News Minute and News Laundry subscriber joining us on the podcast. Episode number 4, we had Tara Krishnaswamy, and as she said, she's a proud subscriber. Month of December, it's a month of holidays. We do see subscriptions dipping a bit. That's understandable because people have to spend more money for their holidays. But don't forget us. This is very important too. And even during the month of December, there's just so much happening. And all our reporters have been working really hard bringing stories to you. So do become a subscriber. Remember, we are completely dependent on our audience. And yesterday I was at an event where one of the editors was saying that they don't use the word viewers, readers, etc. They just use audience because, somebody could be reading, somebody could be listening. And I, like a dumb person, have been saying for all these days, listeners, viewers, and readers. So from today, I shall be using the word audience. So the audience, please do subscribe. Pooja, headlines.
Okay. Before we get to the headlines, actually, since it's December, you can also gift somebody a subscription. That can be your Christmas gift to somebody or a New Year gift. And it's a gift that you're also investing in and they're also investing in a better future. So back to the headlines. Shakti scheme boosts bus ridership by 23.17 lakh passengers every single day in Karnataka. As many of our audience will know, that it's a scheme that the government had introduced in 2023. It was one of the 5 guarantees of the Karnataka government. And this is extremely important because many people dismiss these schemes as freebies. These are welfare schemes, as we choose to call them. And it's clearly impacting a lot of lives across Karnataka. Google to open office in Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh government signs an MOU. I'm very happy that investments are going to Andhra. And with that, I hope there are more jobs for people there and they don't have to move to other states. Then Tamil Nadu never met Gautam Adani. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister challenges PMK to support the JPC probe. In turn, the PMK chief said that if you're willing for a CBI inquiry into the Tangitco, allegation, then they will support the JPC. I have to plug our Power Trip here.
No, I was going to do that. Actually, the story was broken by Power Trip, which is our newsletter. It was actually that month we had 2 big breaks. One is the fact that Adani had flown down to Chennai. He was there for 2.5 hours. But I want to make it very clear that we did not write that he met Chief Minister. We said Adani arrived at a particular street where the Chief Minister lives. So does his son-in-law Shabarishan. And who he met, we are not sure of. The Chief Minister's office at that time only denied this to us. But we were the first ones to put out the story. Then I think the next day, Times of India, Vigadan and others did.
Moving on to Kerala, Wayanad landslide. Kerala blames union government for relief fund impasse. Let's go to the person who's in Wayanad on the panel for this.
No, this is very sad. We again see a clash of narratives, right? This war of narratives that the union government and the state government is having. Earlier, it was soon after the landslide, it was that the union government has given enough warnings for the state to take measures, and then there was counter filed by the state, and then this then this narrative builds that, somehow the union government has done everything that is necessary even when there is rebuttal. So again, here there is this thing that union government saying that the state hasn't filed necessary mandatory reports to claim the relief. And they are saying, state is saying, we have asked for 200 crores as an initial thing, but 2000 crores as a final disbursement. We have submitted a memo, we have submitted report, but even after 4 months there is no action on it. And whereas Amit Shah is saying that no, that has not been the case, that there are funds lying, there are some 700 crores unutilized lying that the state government has not made up. So there is a lot of rebuttals and narratives. And what we don't see is that the union government acting in the role that it should be, as as a state that has had a very devastating landslide and lost some 250 lives and had to rebuild a whole region with with villages washed off. uh, and it's their due that the states are. We have been, this topic has been coming back into the podcast discussions again and again. The state is asking for the due, what union government is supposed to do for it, but there we have a clash of narratives ongoing.
So I believe politically also, now that Wayanad is represented by the Gandhis, first Rahul Gandhi, then Priyanka Gandhi, the BJP is playing a safe thing here, right? They don't want to give, and of course, the communist government in power in Kerala. But I remember a time when B.S. Yedurappa, at a stage where Narendra Modi was there or Amit Shah was there, Modi was there, he said that money had not been given for flood relief in Karnataka. And this was perhaps one of the first BJP chief ministers who had the courage to confront in a public event.
The only BJP chief
Yeah.
minister ever.
So, yeah, not the first, perhaps the only. So the point is, this is a problem which a lot of states are facing, where the the union government is saying you have to send an assessment memo, right? There's some particular way in which you have to fill it, apparently. State is saying, we have given a first memo, then we have sent a second memo. Okay, let's say the state has not followed the procedure. Bloody, you are still the union government, man. State is a part of your country. You're supposed to give money, whether it has happened in Chennai, whether it's happened in Andhra Pradesh or in Kerala. What is your delay in announcing this? I don't understand.
No, also this attitude, I think it has come up mostly from the south, but it isn't subjective. It isn't whether you like the government or the chief minister that decides it, right? There has to also, I think, be a more definitive formula based on which these funds can be asked and given. And it shouldn't be up to somebody's discretion, because then they can say, but it didn't meet certain criteria, so we can't give. Those things can be avoided.
I just want to add one quick point. We should not forget that the Kerala government also has to be criticized, because they do have some money in the corpus, in the various relief funds. And there are questions being asked as to why has that money not been used yet properly in identifying places where people can be relocated to, building houses, etc.
Opposition plans impeachment motion against Allahabad High Court Judge Shekhar Kumar Yadav. They're preparing notices for both the houses. We have to see how much support they'll get. They've already gotten 40 signatures. Raga, you have done an extensive story on this, right?
I have a doubt. It's not called impeachment motion,
It's not,
right?
It's not. The word impeachment is not used anywhere in the Constitution. So technically, it's supposed to be the motion for removal of a judge. That's what it's called. Colloquially, it's called impeachment. So in the Lok Sabha, they need signatures of at least 100 MPs in order to move this motion. And in the Rajya Sabha, they need 50 MPs. I mean, it can be moved either in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, but I think the process has started in the Lok Sabha now. So they need at
So
least
if
100
they get
signatures.
100 signatures, then what happens?
If they get 100 signatures, they have to go to the speaker, and the speaker has to accept the motion. And if the speaker accepts the motion, then the speaker will have to set up a 3-member committee, which includes like Supreme Court judges and, legal experts and everything. And then this committee has to frame charges and investigate whether this is true, whether the allegations are true. And if the allegations are whatever they come up with, right, they have to give this judge an chance to give a written reply to the allegations against him. After that, if they find that these allegations are true, they will give it back to Parliament, and then there will be a debate in Parliament. And at this point, the judge can again come to Parliament and defend himself.
Has any judge been removed in India?
No.
No. But how many times have we tried to impeach or remove judges?
There have been at least 8 times where the process has happened at some level, right? There is also a in-house procedure that the Supreme Court follows, because the Supreme Court is like, impeachment is something that we need to avoid, right? So how do we keep ourselves respectable? We'll have an in-house procedure where if we find that somebody's done something bad, we'll just ask them to quit. So they have this procedure. So that and the parliamentary thing, like at least 8 times, 8 judges, sorry. One of the judges, they tried to impeach him twice. Did not work
I
either
have
time.
interviewed one of the judges just before the impeachment began, which is Justice Dinakaran.
Right,
But he quit
Yeah.
as soon as the process was beginning.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they all quit.
Yeah, so here we know that the Supreme Court has taken stock of the situation and have asked for a report. But then I don't see the delay, at the rate which this is happening, because the video is out there. There is a VHP event on which this
So the process,
uh,
Leena, is long. Even if the Supreme Court has to give a report, the Chief Justice, if he receives a complaint, has to then tell the Chief Justice of the High Court of Allahabad in this case. And then
yeah,
the
yeah.
Allahabad High Court Chief Justice has to do a bunch of things and then go back to the CJI. And then the CJI has to form a committee. And then that committee has to do. It's a long process. Nobody wants to impeach judges in India.
Yeah, no, even to take an explanation, Raga, in this case, that they manage the press in a way when they want, like, they have taken control of things and taken stock, which I think is a bit missing here. And even from the opposition with the petition that now Kapil Sibal have moved, I think so far only some 36 signatures or so, and raising 50 signatures in Rajya Sabha for them is not a task, as far as I understand. But they know that whatever done, investigation done, when the motion needs to be finally passed, it will not get passed either in the Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, because they don't have majority there. But even then, to get these signatures and get this motion done, it's also, I see see a delay
So
there.
here the thing is, the speaker or the chairman has to first accept the motion. And going back to Venkaiah Naidu, when there was the opposition tried to move an impeachment motion against the CJI at that time, Deepak Mishra, they had the signatures, right? They had some 70 plus signatures in Rajya Sabha. They went to Venkaiah Naidu and Venkaiah Naidu says, oops, no, this is not misbehavior, so I'm not accepting the motion. So it just stopped there.
Okay.
Moving on to the last headline. Prime Minister Modi meets Kapoor family to mark centenary celebrations of late Raj Kapoor. I don't know how many of you have seen the video. I was embarrassed. Second-hand embarrassment.
On
आप
behalf of
on
आप
behalf of the
गाना
couples.
आप गाना सुनते हो?
सुन पाते हो?
सुन
सुन
पाते
पा-
हो और सुनते हो?
सुन
सुन
पाते
पाते
हो?
हो.
Like,
Meaning, do you have time to
because
listen
you
to
watch
music?
able to
20
listen
hours
to
a day,
music.
no? So do you have time to listen to music after 20 hours? But they could not. I mean, I'm not even going to get into how they were all sucking up. That's fine. That's up to them. But they couldn't even do that well. They weren't articulate, and these are supposed to be the first family of Indian cinema. So
Man, standards you
unintelligent.
have, Pooja.
Such-
Standards.
No, and there was a part where he says that I wanted to see all three generations, and everybody's like, we wanted to bring our children.
A quick reminder, right wing trolled Karina and Saif and the kids because of their names. But now I'm sure they'll all love the kids because Prime Minister Modi wanted to
Yeah,
meet
I
the
did see
kids.
some right-wing people on Twitter actually posting these videos saying, so cute.
Aww.
Aw.
Okay, so we are done with the headlines and we will move to the three topics today. Leena with an L and Meena with an M. You can jump in any time that you want, but it's going to be a bit confusing because you're all sitting somewhere else. And if I keep calling Leena, Meena may answer. So I will maybe say Raghunath and Kandaswamy at times, right? So the first is from Kerala, but I think this is a story which does have implications for people across if it ever happens again. This is about the actor who was sexually assaulted in a moving vehicle in Feb 2017. Now, most people know the case that there was a man named Pulsar Suni who was accused of the crime. He is accused of conspiring with actor Dilip of kidnapping this woman and then sexually assaulting her in a car because Dilip wanted revenge for something. That's the basic premise of the case. Now, the problem is that while the sexual assault was going on, it was recorded on the phone by this Pulsar Suni. The recording he had given to his lawyer, and his lawyer had given it to the court when he surrendered or before he surrendered. So there was a copy with the court, right? Later, it is found out that this footage has been accessed illegally thrice in 3 different courts by court staff and even a magistrate. So the victim or the survivor has been asking, why are you not taking criminal action against these people? because they have accessed my video, and I do not know if they have copied and given it to somebody else. But all that the judge, which is Judge Hani Varghese, who is also the trial court judge in this case, is ready to do is ask for a civil punishment or civil case. She doesn't want a criminal case at all. Your thoughts, Raga?
I mean, Hani Varghese is one of the people who's supposed to have accessed the video, right?
No, somebody in her office.
Somebody in her office.
Yes.
It could be her, right? Now, the thing is that I think there was one part of this, the proceedings, where Hani Varghese already knew that this access had been done because of a forensic examination that was done, but she didn't actually tell the court, right? And I think that's just like very surprising, first of all. Secondly, I don't understand. I mean, are we sort of looking for justice in this case, or are we just saying let's do whatever we want in whatever manner we want, and just traumatize the survivor a lot more, because that's what seems to be happening over here. There is no real uh, sort of mechanism that has been followed for actual justice for this person. Because I mean, I don't think there is a question of whether Pulsar Suni sexually assaulted her. There is no question of the sequence of events over there. The question is whether this person uh, was part of, whether Dilip was part of the conspiracy or not. I'm guessing that is the main thing that the court has to decide. So I don't know. I mean, if this whole thing has been accessed by multiple people, that sort of points to there are other people involved, right?
I just want to explain what Raga was saying. So basically, there is a footage, and there is a forensic test done on this memory card where this footage is. There was a forensic report prepared by the Trivandrum Forensic Lab. Nobody knew about this except Judge Hani Varghese. Now, 2 years ago, a whistleblower comes in this case. I don't want to complicate for those people who are not from Kerala and don't understand the story. They just know, they should know that there is a sexual assault of a very famous actor. It is in the court. The visual is in the court. There is a forensic test done, and it is found that this hash value, which basically it's like a DNA value of that memory card, has changed, which means somebody has illegally accessed it. The report is given to the judge. The judge does not tell anybody. For at least 1.5 years, nobody knew about this report till the police stumbled on it. They were following another tip off, and then the forensic lab is like, hey, we gave you this report. What did you do with it? Then the police go to the court and ask the judge, did you have this report? The judge is like, yes. Which is when the survivor is again forced to go to court saying that, what is the report? Then the report is made available. She again asks for an inquiry. I mean, it has followed so many loops.
But the legal aspect, if I can put that on the side for a minute, look at what this means. Because many times victims, survivors of rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment even, don't come out and speak in the open because of this exact reason. Now, we don't know who's accessed it, who all they've given it to. It could have gone in many circles. So at the end of the day, you are fighting multiple battles to make sure that you're not further traumatized and further shamed, because there is still so much stigma, right? And the kind of fear that the survivor has to live in because the case is getting dragged on for years.
Before I start speaking, let me point this out. That I was speaking at a media lens on courtroom trials 2 days back, and this is one of the cases that I was looking at while I was speaking on it. Because if you take the history of Me Too movement and all of that, even before any major Me Too cases came up anywhere or internationally gained recognition, this was the Kerala film industry standing together with the actor who was assaulted and coming together and having a big movement for women's rights and justice and all of that. um, and if you look at the history of cases in Kerala, there has been very few assault cases that have received this kind of attention that the actor assault case in Kerala has received. Consistent media coverage, day in day out, and with sort of the actor who has been assaulted having some power to frame her narrative. She has her own fan following, and she has her own medium of talk, the social media and all of that. But even then, the amount of injustice that she has to go through in the process of seeking justice for herself. She went to court, asked for a female judge in a case, but that female judge, we know, um, have been really a tormenting experience for her. And being a guest on the show, um, I should tell your audience, not just the subscribers, the audience who's listening to it. We have to be super thankful for TNM for being consistently saying that story in a well crafted, true reportage style, and with true facts placed before the people. And if in this year end, if we can't be thankful to organizations like this who give us access to news, I don't know what thanksgiving you are giving for the year end that year has passed. So if you want to subscribe, if you want to put money into TNM, I think they have already given you enough reasons in the way they have covered Adani case, and they have covered other sexual assault cases for you to give them your money. So saying that, I also want to say that in 2017, I did a long form profile of Manju Warrior, one of the actor who got back to work, and her story is deeply connected to this actor assault case. So I did a lot of reporting on it at that time. And throughout, consistently, I've been following news coming out of the court. It's very strange that there are evidences. There is forensic laboratory evidences that show that this evidence has been tampered with. It's a crucial evidence. If it goes out, it harms the the actor who has been assaulted a lot. But even then, the judiciary is failing to take stock and do think that will actually save her from a lot of pain, and see that justice is done. So this refusal of the court to see that it has gone wrong at certain places and correct it, even with so much media attention, is something that is very deeply disappointing. And then they sit at the Supreme Court and ask, hey, why did she put a Facebook post, and she didn't go to a police and report the case? Here is your answer why people don't do that. Here is a woman who went, reported the case, and what have you done for her? So every time you come back and ask these kind of, why are you putting Facebook post, I think you have answered it yourself.
I have a follow up question, and since Leena is also a lawyer, Meena can jump in. Dhanya has covered the case. What is the legal recourse now with her? And who is the onus on? Is it with the court? Is it with the police? Who has to own up because of what's happened?
So, see, there are three people who are supposed to have access this footage. One is Angamali magistrate Leena Rashid, not our Leena.
Another Leena.
There's too many Leenas and Meenas in this conversation. Personal assistant Mahesh Mohan of the Ernakulam district judge and trial court official Tajuddin. They have the names, right? They have not asked these people properly as to what is your intention behind accessing this footage. Did you copy it? Did you give it to somebody else? This has to be a criminal investigation that has not been done. And the funniest and the ironic part here is that, guess who went to court saying that the victim should not get the report? Dileep. What is Dileep's problem if the survivor is asking for an investigation into the leak of the memory card? In fact, the court asked, what is your problem? Let her get the report.
What are the grounds on which he asked?
He just said that it is just delaying everything and this is not a question to be pondered on. What exactly is his problem? So I just want to just talk about what Leena is saying. It was the survivor who asked for a female judge, right? It was then the survivor itself who went to court saying that, please remove this female judge because she is really tormenting me in court. 2 public prosecutors resigned, which is another high-profile case that we know, where 2 public prosecutors have resigned saying that the judge's attitude is so hostile that we cannot go on. The third is this whole thing where she has hidden the forensic report. It has not been told to the prosecution that there is a forensic report. Then there was another case filed. The whole matter is very complicated. I will just condense it. There was a phone call purportedly between Dileep and a lawyer. Now, this judge's husband is also a government servant, and he is involved in a case of I think torture in the jail. So this lawyer is telling Dileep that the husband is now in trouble. We can help and we can figure things out, right? The police, in fact, tell the court that this lawyer, which is Dileep's friend lawyer, talks to the other lawyer who is representing government servants in this case. The husband is not implicated yet. And the moment these 2 lawyers talk, the other lawyer calls the judge. So there is a phone call record also which shows that the 2 lawyers talked. Then the lawyer calls the judge. All this was given to the court. But the court said this is not proof enough to show that she is biased.
So this is the High Court, right? This is
This
all
is a high
happening in
court.
the High Court.
Yeah.
So there's this other thing that I wanted to ask about, Danya. The whistleblower in this case, Balachandra Kumar, right? I think at one point he's also said that Dileep has access to the visuals and that he has amplified the audio in order to sort of make sure that he has defense against himself in court, right? Like he has access to these visuals. So where is that standing now? Has that gone anywhere?
No, all this is being taken up in court, but I'm saying there are so many layers to this, right? When Dileep was raided again after Balachandra Kumar came, there was an audio file in his brother's phone where the brother is talking to the lawyer about the sexual assault, and they have notes in detail about the sexual assault. So Dilip has been shown this visual in court, but there is no way that he could have taken down these minute details. Is
in
what
that one scene.
yeah, is what others are saying. So I'm saying now let's forget all the intricacies, because if we go on talking about it, there's a lot to say in this case. But look at the number of times where the judiciary has been in the dock in this case and they have not done anything to clean up their own system. They are so reticent of questioning their own people. I talk to the survivor in this case quite often, and I understand her fear. Now, this case will finish. We will stop reporting this case. The judiciary will forget this case. But this fear that her visual is out there somewhere, for somebody to leak 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that itself is really tormenting her, right?
But also going back to the legal part of it, Leena, if you can tell us, what can she do next? She's written to the President of India. What can the President do? And what can be done now? Because we don't know where the video is, where all it is spread to.
I'm not sure that other than bringing some renewed attention to the case, whether the writing to the president will yield any proper result. Because it's unfortunate that she has to time and again go and ask for justice, you know. As I said, that of all the victims of assault, this is a woman who had some power to craft the narrative and some way to communicate with the people about her case. But even in her case, it's unfortunately there is very little justice that has so far come to her. And I hope that trial court is set to give its judgment pretty soon, but I hope that when it comes, that there is some relief for her in it. That's all I can hope for. I don't think immediately there is anything gonna change on the ground.
Meena, just to look at how the society also looks at these things, right? There is a perverse voyeuristic interest in seeing visuals of these. We saw this in Prajwal Revanna's case as well, where visuals of sexual harassment, assault gets circulated, and people also somehow enable it because they pass it, they view it. It goes on WhatsApp groups. So, as a society, isn't this also a very worrying thing?
The internet is also a very strange beast. This is no longer like somebody had a CD or some active material possession. The problem with the internet is that everything works through virality. So once something is out, to stem it, it is almost impossible. And in fact, if you look at, I think Leena and possibly even Danya might know about this more legally than me. But one of the things is the way you can get these removed, like once it's on the internet, is basically through the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. So, what do you call the DMCA? So, on the one hand, you publicly, I mean, like if you're a woman whose image or likeness or video is out, in order to still be within the framework of the good women, good victim, good survivor, you have to deny it is you. You can say it's a deep fake. You say a lot of things, artificial intelligence, and at the same time, in order to have it taken down, you have to say this is me. It's my likeness. It's my copyright. And therefore, do you see the two limits to which in order to have recourse to justice, you have to go through things that are meant to protect corporate interest, because there's no provision for a woman or individual to protect her own interests. So you go under the Copyright Act. At the same time, this is not a society where you can say this is me, but you're a fucked up society. You'll have to go to this level of actually by say denying this for sake of society. Whether I mean, of course, there are fake and completely doctored, fabricated, especially with AI, it becomes easy to make deep fakes. So I think that is, I mean, if anybody is worried about it, whether it's a high profile victim or you look at what happened in Polachi, women get, really trapped into this extortion type of things, this revenge porn type of things, and especially because of what happens on the internet. So I just wanted to bring that in, because you think it's just once the pen drive was accessed, but once is enough to damage you. How do you contain something on that level? And the second thing, about our society. I mean, yesterday I think there was this woman's name Lily Phillips or someone. She was running an experiment. Basically she was popular on OnlyFans, and then she had run this experiment to sleep with, I think, 100 men in 24 hours and get through it. And so much of that is also talks to you about where we are as a society, right? And in so many ways, this women, even if people are labeling it under choice feminism or liberal feminism, at the heart of it, it's so inherently exploitative to look at the charade of what's going on, to look at how predatory men have become. And I think we are as a society fueling that, whether it's for viewership or whether it's for I don't know, perverseness, or whether it's just accessing it as porn. So I think all of this is going on. So yeah, I believe it's and this is where I really think that I just wanted to make a connection with the Giselle Pellicot case in France, where she actually waived her right to anonymity. And I think she made this very powerful statement, which said that shame should switch sides. That I shouldn't be the one ashamed of the fact that multiple men have raped me, and my own husband was facilitating this. But but by waiving her own right to anonymity, she also waived the right to anonymity of all the men who did this to her. And I think in that sense, I think we'll have to come to that level. Like, I'm not saying it's a Western thing or it's a European thing, but eventually, as we progress, we have to move towards a place that it's not the woman who should feel ashamed. I think it's the perpetrators who should feel ashamed.
I completely agree, but I just want to go back to Dhanya with what we started. The fact that she's written to the President of India also gives you the message of how helpless she must be feeling, right? And how many people she must have already approached and knows that she doesn't have any recourse, and she's finally written to the president. Is that something that's come up in conversations with her?
So, couple of things. One, good that Meena brought up so many other cases, right? Like Pollachi, what happened? You talked about Prajwal Revanna. These are cases where the videos are already out. Now, in this case, there is a scare that the videos could be out. But there's a crucial difference between a Pollachi, Prajwal Revanna case or this case, because in that, it's the perpetrator or somebody, like in Prajwal Revanna's case, very complicated, where his political rivals are the one who spread the videos. In Pollachi, it is basically those guys who are circulating it, right? Here, we are talking about court employees. We are talking about the entire judicial system really somehow, in some way, protecting these people. It's a very different ball game from all the other cases that we are talking about, right?
Yeah, I think it's process as punishment for the survivor. And I think it's very sort of important to know that this is patriarchy in action, right? Like everything that is happening, whether it is the courts, what is happening in the courts, how the judge is reacting, how the people are reacting, what we forget, what we remember, all of this is patriarchy in action. And like it's sort of should shock us that this is a person who, compared to an average person in this country, does have access to more resources, does have access to, like, better lawyers, does have access to media, does have access to a lot of things that any other survivor might not. And yet, this is what she's facing, right? This is the thing that she has to go through. I mean, I guess it's the double edged sword of, like, also being that visible. But if a person with this much resources cannot tackle this in a sort of way that is safe for her.
I think that when you're a successful woman, especially successful and young, a lot of people actually want to, believe that you have, quote unquote, deployed all kinds of methods to become successful, and therefore they have no sympathy for you. And therefore, the belief that somehow an average person will get less justice compared to a high profile person, I believe the inverse is true. People might have more empathy for an average person, whereas I think successful women and good looking women face, I think, this, I don't know, like very inherent, it's not even spelled out, but I believe that there is extreme pushback an extreme absolute pushback saying that, there's absolutely no sympathy in courtrooms whatsoever, and just wanted to leave it at that.
50 accused in what Meena pointed out, the French case of Giselle. 50 accused and so much of electronic evidence to adduce, so many people to try. But look at the speed in which that court went. And that is how can court can show that, how it is pursuing justice and furthering the cause that it stands for. But here you see that a fast track court is going back and delaying things and letting the case get dragged on. So where there is will, there will be a way. But here there is no will, it's what I understand.
I'll just wrap it up by what Raga was saying. The word you used, right? Double-edged sword. Though it's a cliche, I just want to say that there are many times I've wondered in while covering this case that protections which have been put in place for survivors have become a double-edged sword. First is the anonymity, right? In the sense that survivors have to be anonymous and therefore you have to have in-camera trials to protect them, has been so highly misused in this case. For example, the kind of questioning which has been done on the survivor, as we have written in our long copy, at many, we have done a copy a few months ago where Nidhi had written about an orchestrated nightmare, and many more copies before we've written about how there has been a line of questioning asking whether this is a consensual act, right? But we are not able to deep report any of this because there is an in camera trial procedure. And Dilip has used that so many times to take injunctions so that people are not reporting. He has taken injunctions to see that film actors like Parvati, Ashik Kapoor, Reema Kallingal, Ramyan Nambishan, he took injunctions against all of them saying that they can't post about this case. So there are so many, the law which is supposed to protect the survivor has actually been used to protect judges and the alleged perpetrators here. So I really think it's a double-edged sword. Before we go to the next topic, I really doubt South Central 6 episode will happen because Raga is coughing, Pooja is coughing and spreading germs and viruses across this room. Therefore, we may all be falling sick in 2 or 3 days' time. Do you guys need a water break or something?
I don't, but Raga insisted on the AC being on 20 and I'm freezing, which is why I sneezed.
I'm feeling extremely hot, guys.
What do we do now?
For fashion, we must endure. And therefore, I say we put the AC temperature a little lower, drink some water, and get back.
Let's
For those
compromise.
listening and not watching, Raga's wearing a winter jacket.
Looks
Yeah.
great, guys.
Okay, so to the next topic, we discuss politics this time. Meena with an M, I will come to you first here because the topic is about the India Bloc. There has been discussion again that the India Bloc should be led by Mamata Banerjee. It was mooted by Sharad Pawar, Lalu Prasad Yadav, even Jagan Mohan Reddy, who's not part of India Bloc, has apparently said that Mamata Banerjee is the leader who can lead India Bloc. Meena, you are someone who went for the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and I read your article about Bharat Jodo Yatra, your experiences you wrote in the Outlook. What are your first thoughts about this whole clamor for a new leader? Do you believe that even after all these years, Rahul Gandhi has not been able to become a numero uno, not his own party, I doubt, and not definitely of the India Bloc?
I feel that the propaganda against Rahul Gandhi, especially, like led whatever happened over the couple of, even not even this election, but the previous parliament election, has become so deep rooted, deep seated, and it's a very convenient person to blame. This Congress is routed in Maharashtra. I think everyone's first go to is Rahul. Like everyone already seems to have these 800-word op-eds ready, these Twitter threads ready. Like, when do we blame him? But I also believe that, in terms of uniting India on, like, let's say, India Bloc itself, on an actual agenda, you have to look at what Rahul has brought in. I mean, we can talk about what the Congress brings in. The Congress is a pan-India party. Everyone else is a regional party. So you still, to take on the might of, a fascist, or let's say, government or whatever we have in place, you need someone who has presence everywhere, who's, and who can also offer you an alternative view of what it means to be Indian, what it means to be united, and what secularism stands for. And I really believe, because the minute you come to a question of is it Mamata, then why not is it Stalin? He's also been giving 40 on 40. If she's giving entire West Bengal to the alliance, then he's also been delivering Tamil Nadu for 2 consecutive elections. So I think this question is the problem with the regional party being the national leader. I'm sure they should be very well represented in a coalition. Their ideas should be heard, but I still believe that Congress is the last national party in that sense standing. But also, what Rahul has done is that by talking about the constitution, by holding it up everywhere, by talking about questions that were even relevant 100 years ago, like let's say the question of proportional representation, the question of the caste census. Um, I think these are questions, and also especially talking about this politics of love against the politics of hate, and this no one else has brought into it. I don't think Mamata has made the constitution her saving it uh, her entire political perspective or argument or propaganda or about the caste census. In fact, she's somebody who goes and openly says, I'm a Brahmin. So I think that to feel a united message, I really believe the Congress is inevitable. So I don't know, I don't understand the nuances of the power play there. I just think that if you end up, I think, sidelining the Congress Mukt Bharat, you're going to only be BJP's B team, and this is my appraisal of the situation.
So, for me, the problem is twofold. One, I agree with Meena that you cannot sideline Congress in this conversation, because I too agree that Mamata Banerjee will probably represent her region's interest much more if there is ever a clash. The same could be said of a Stalin or anybody else in the alliance, or a Uddhav Thackeray, whoever else. While you say Congress should lead, should it be Rahul Gandhi is the question. A few months ago, before the Lok Sabha elections, when the same Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal had suggested Kharge. And in my mind, a Mallikarjun Kharge is better suited to lead the alliance than Rahul Gandhi will be, for multiple reasons. He has far more experience. I think he's going by his career. He can build the kind of consensus that Rahul Gandhi cannot. And also the fact that it's far more difficult for the BJP to attack a Kharge as opposed to a Rahul Gandhi, right?
No, definitely. No, I'm with you on this. And I believe that, see, that's the thing. For me, the difference between a Karge and a Rahul is not as extensive as people make it out to be. Rahul himself has been extremely shy of power. So I believe that even if Rahul is in charge in some way, in terms of, the yatras and other stuff, I still believe that Karge has been the figurehead. He's been, Karge may not have the same stamina to travel across the country, may not be, I don't believe that it's a clash between Kharge and Rahul. I don't think that Rahul at any point has said he's the leader of the alliance. I just believe that he is used systematically time and time again to erode or to the shoulder on which all blame rests. And that is what I was trying to clarify. But I believe that, yeah, Kharge is a great choice. And in fact, in many ways, the appointment of Kharge couldn't have happened except, with the explicit support of Rahul Gandhi. So
We see in the what recently has caught everyone's attention, Rahul's takedown of the Adani, and very strong messaging coming from him. What unfortunately happening here is, this is hope. What he's doing is hope, what needs to be done in politics. But let's look at the silence from even inside his party to support him with this. How many big Congress leaders do you come openly saying, oh, this is, joining forces with him on this? And so what he is doing is essentially foregrounding himself into driving these kind of narratives without essentially looping his own party members or his own coalition members to join in this narrative. So that is, while it's very hopeful politics that he's putting forward, it's unfortunately not a strategic way of going about it. Unfortunately it's not, because as we know, Adani has lined everyone's pocket. From he has people inside Congress, and he has people in every other party. In Kerala, if you look at the Adani port issue, the Vizhinjam port issue, it's Congress who's taking credit of having brought that project to Kerala and all of that. So there is, everyone's hand is somehow or the other tied, and this man is trying to build a narrative, taking down the biggest money power in this country. And unfortunately, he's not doing it strategically enough to make it a big narrative where everyone else is going, because he can't.
and Lina, I 100% agree with you, but I think that like this is some kind of overturn window type of situation. Like Rahul does prepares the public and kind of wakes them up to what is going on, and eventually hoping that policy, all these neutral, or what do you call, under some kind of Adani anesthesia, politicians also wake up and join him. But I believe that change can happen. For instance, I'll tell you some examples, not at all connected to Adani, but where I felt, that what Rahul has done in terms of, even the yatra and other stuff and all this agenda setting has worked, is that 20, 30 years ago, if you talked about reservation in the IITs and you published numbers, you said, okay, there are 400 faculty and, 320 happen to be Brahmin upper caste. There are only few Dalits. And I remember, because my mom was a faculty, it was always a fringe issue. It was always seen as, okay, the DK doesn't have any job, or the Tamil, the small Dalit parties don't have any job. It's rabble rousing, it's like a small issue for small. But now, like the other day, this was a center page article in the Hindu, and nobody expects even the Hindu to report on this, because at that time, Hindu is always seen as, the Mount Road Mahavishnu, their anti-reservation. But now, and not only was it a center page, I saw the Congress spokesperson, Supriya Srinath, actually tweet it out with the numbers. At what point did the Congress, the Congress, at what point did they become a party asking for reservation to be implemented? And that's a change. I mean, that's a change. But at what point did they become a party that said we need to, follow reservation policy? It's the last person you dream of.
Just one point before Raga comes in. It's ironic all the more because Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister, was the Congress leader who stood in parliament and opposed the Mandal Commission report at the time. But Raga, I'll let you get to the point.
So yeah. So that's the full circle that we have come, and I hope that in many ways what you say, Leena, is so painful, because when you watch him, you understand how much compromised everyone is. And it's not just Rahul is a superhero; it's also about everyone else maintaining this absolute silence about it, not going all the way. And in many ways, I also think it's just not you, me, and friends at the news minute who are aware of this. People are going to be aware, right? Like people are going to know why the silence on Adani exists, and why is it that, and in that sense, you really have to. At some point, I think Modi called the Congress manifesto "Urban Naxal Manifesto," something like that. And I thought that's very interesting. That if what is basic progressivism in this country gets labeled as, quote unquote urban axle, we have to understand how much we've all shifted towards the right.
No, one thing I wanted to bring in a point here is that we media try to analyze Rahul's success based on how many elections he can win. But if you look at Modi's success, it is not just that election he won. They were preparing the ground for decades before that to bring in a Sanghi prime minister into power. It was not just that moment or a strategy that worked in the last 5 years or last 10 years that has put him in power for this long. So sometimes in politics, the long term success is not of how many elections you won now, but it's how you change the narrative on the ground in a way that India badly needs on so many issues. That Rahul has intervened and changed narrative is what even I feel, Danya.
Yeah, so I think two things here. One, going back to Mamata saying that, Mamata should be the leader of the alliance. I personally feel there's nothing wrong with any regional party leader or any leader of any state party having that ambition to be the leader of the entire alliance, right? I don't think there is anything wrong with that. Secondly, I think it was sort of officially, it's kind of clear that the leader of the India alliance as such is Mallikarjun Kharge. I don't think anybody has said that Rahul Gandhi is the leader. So now the question is of who is the face of the alliance or who is getting most press, right? The thing is, Rahul Gandhi is a leader who has faced this whole thing of getting negative press for a very long time. And right now, because of the issues that he's bringing up, because he's talking about the issues that people in this country are really frustrated with, right? He's talking about the fact that there's no caste census. He's talking about the fact that, there are rich people who are pretty much looting the country, allegedly, etc. Right? He's talking about issues that actually matter to people, which is why he's getting that press, which is making him the face of this alliance. And there is I think, need to sort of look at things as this and that, not this or that. You can have Rahul Gandhi sort of making this moral stand for what this alliance stands for, or what an opposition to the BJP, which is sort of fundamentalist, which is conservative in its outlook, which is sort of saying let's go back to the golden age or whatever that means, right? Which is what you're seeing with the Trump's America, right? You have that conservative fundamentalism on one side, and in opposition to that, morally, you have this progressive, sort of radical, anti-capitalist, anti-casteist person who is talking about these things, right? Does that mean that he is going to be the prime minister if the alliance wins? Or does that mean that he has to do this whole public outlook thing as well as build the consensus within the party? Why can't people have multiple roles? I don't think there is a problem there.
I know Pooja's like waiting.
No, Dhanya
No,
has
hold
not
on.
left the room, people. She's here. She's been quiet for so long.
I
Go
have
on,
not
Dhanya.
been this quiet for this
Ever.
long.
I've
ever.
known you for
Ever.
years, and this is the longest you've stayed quiet.
I've actually been just staring at my cat pictures, also thinking that when are these people going to stop? When can I say a word? But L for Leena, M for Meena were just not stopping. But a lot of very interesting points. Now, though what I'm going to say is not something that I believe in, but look at pragmatic politics, right? All the things that you all said, that is Rahul Gandhi is introducing this conversation about why we have to protect our constitution. He's talking about caste. He's talking about capitalism. All that is good, right? But in pragmatic politics, he's not a moral science teacher. Many politicians are not looking for like Leena was saying, a long innings here. People want to win.
Why?
No, because people want to win elections. They want to have governments. Now, I have been speaking to a lot of politicians from parties. The DMK is one party which is standing with Rahul Gandhi, I think, more than all the others are. Which means steadfastly they are there with him for whatever it is, whether it is his anti-capitalistic, anti-casteist, etc. But even they are starting to feel the pinch a little bit about the whole Adani narrative. And I think it is the Adani narrative which is sort of pushing the others into a corner. Sharad Pawar openly said in the Srinivasan Jain's interview, and has said multiple times before,
It's an open
that-
secret in
that
Maharashtra.
I am a good friend of Adani. I have known Adani much before Adani became this Adani, right? Mamata Banerjee has to do business with Adani. So does Stalin. Even Chief Minister of Telangana, Revanth Reddy, was in a spot of trouble recently where he was shaking hands with Adani on one side and Rahul Gandhi saying something. And initially the Congress was like, so what is the problem? We will do legitimate business. But when it came to optics, they finally had to tell Adani that we will not take that 100 crore for the skill university, right? So I feel it's pragmatic politics for a lot of the other leaders, where they feel that Rahul Gandhi is pushing for very leftist views. In fact, a lot of people used to tell me before that they very strongly believe Rahul Gandhi's advisor is, other than in the Congress, it is Sitaram Yechuri. That it is Yechuri who has been telling, this is what all the other allies used to feel, which is the reason why at one particular meeting, Arvind Kejriwal and Mamata Banerjee came with a list of 50 constituencies where they thought Mallikarjun Kharge had the influence to win, because they felt that Rahul Gandhi was too much into this left politics, right?
Can I sort of like provide a counterpoint to this? Look at the world today. Okay, this is the same kind of let's be pragmatic thing that probably happened in America 4 years ago, and they brought Biden in, right, who is probably as conservative as Trump was, right? Look at what has happened in the United Healthcare CEO murder, right, and the reactions that people have. People are frustrated with the status quo. People are frustrated that nothing in this world works, that you are working to the bone for several hours in a day. Our systems are designed not for the way we are supposed to be living today. People, even these reactions, this choice feminism, or trad wife, or younger men getting more conservative, all of this is a reaction to the state in which the world is today. And I think this status quo has to be broken, and I think somebody like a Rahul Gandhi has his hand on the pulse of how the people are feeling. We
This is
can say
Raga
that
for Raga.
politicians are
Please make a note.
Raga, yes, correct.
yes.
We missed that point.
No, I'm
Raga for
seriously
Raga.
saying, like,
Oh.
when else have you seen that somebody has murdered somebody else and everybody in the world is like sort of genuinely coming out in support of the murderer, right? In the Luigi Mangione case, in the United Healthcare CEO murder case, because people are able to sort of see that this world is really screwed up. whatever these politicians are doing business with all of these rich people, those rich people will get richer and richer. There will be some bros who are like, yes, yes, Elon Musk, and yes, yes, Adani and all of that stuff. But those bros have not reached the level yet where if I don't go to work for 2 days or 3 days, it will mean that I am poor for 6 months. Right? If I don't make money, I am going to die. If I don't have health insurance, or if my health insurance company is going to be cheating me, then it means my family is going to die. Right? That's where a lot of people are. And Rahul Gandhi is the politician. The messages that he is giving today, I think is the need of the hour. The other politicians need to follow his lead.
Okay. One minute. I have to bring in Meena here because I have a very important question for you, Meena. Now, what Raga for Raga is saying is that is that Rahul Gandhi. So all of us are saying that you need a long-term vision. Like Leena said, that RSS or BJP put in a long-term vision. You may think of Rahul Gandhi as being too leftist or whatever now, but it is needed for India's long future. But Meena, I want to ask you, are we sure this is who Rahul Gandhi is? And that 3 years down the line, he won't change what he is saying. I mean, you have interacted with him. What are your thoughts?
No, this is really interesting because I met him about the Bhima Koregaon case, and asking for him to intervene and like make sure that political prisoners get released. But this is quite interesting. The thing is, we need. I don't think Hindutva light is going to win over Hindutva Agmark. Pure Hindutva. That is what happened with like Kamala Harris trying to be a Republican light. You saw how badly it worked. You actually got Trump in with so much because you have to still stand for something, and your something has at this point, even if it's not about it is obviously about the Constitution, what we stand for, but also you have to define yourself in relation to the kind of what the BJP stands for. And this is where I think Rahul, for instance, has started to nuance himself. He says, I'm against such a type of capitalism. This is the kind of capitalism that you should work. It should not be neoliberal example of crony capitalism. We just cannot have an Adani working. And but I remember that Rahul Gandhi has actually traveled a lot in terms of where he stands. I think that, for instance, the idea of the caste census was being debated within the Congress internally for a very long time. And at that time, I think the perspective must have been much more like, the caste census would work against the Congress interest because local regional parties would start playing these number games. But then at the point of it, I think that he forfeited, or, he just trashed the idea of whatever is going to happen. It's not just about our party, it's about our nation. Right? We cannot worry that, Lalu is going to get better because of this, or SP is going to get better because of this. And I believe the same thing in terms of, the way he's looking at the private sector, the way he's calling them out, because these are people, who could be big potential donors, but he still, is talking about this. And it means a lot to actually stand against Adani, and the fact it means a lot to not be bought into the system. But the Congress, for instance, like, has to reinvent itself. But in 3 years, is he going to talk another tune? Is he going to change? I mean, like, I definitely don't think so. I don't believe so at all, because he's not come into this from nowhere. He's radicalized over time. And one of the things I remember, I just going to finish in one sentence. I remember going to Coimbatore and trying to cover the elections for cover the elections for I think Outlook or something. And very interestingly, this somebody who actually said to me, "Madam, just Google PMO 97 Rahul Gandhi," or something like that, some number. And this was a Tamil guy who was asking me to Google it, and I actually Googled this, and and then it's actually that Rahul Gandhi is breaking down and giving the numbers of the officers in the PMO, how many belong to which caste. Now this is a thing only Tamil people normally would do. The idea of saying, like, this is from the Justice Party days, how many people of what caste are, occupying what jobs. But Rahul Gandhi, by actually taking out this and talking about the people in the PMO, has made it, like, it's like Tamil Nadu's export, this reservation, proportional representation, or the demand for it has become a Rahul thing. People actually, a guy was in Coimbatore asking me, you Google this and see, you look at the numbers. And I was like, okay, so you understand the distance he's come, and there's only so many things you can backpedal about. This is not a small issue. I don't think capitalism and anti-capitalism is that small issue to backpedal and turn into something else. I really definitely hope. I don't think that is the case at all. But I think there are also a bunch of Rahul Gandhi fangirls over here.
Yes.
No, definitely no.
Only Dhanya
I'm
and
not
I
a
seem to
fangirl.
be.
I'm not a Rahul Gandhi fangirl or any person. I think especially since 2018, right?
I'm also critical, but I also feel very maternal about him. So
No, I'm saying especially since 2017 or 18. I don't. I've just generally I believe now that even if it is like a movie star or a character in a book, right? I don't pedestalize anybody. I don't put anybody on a pedestal because we can't predict the future. First of all, secondly,
We've
who
been let down
knows?
too many times.
Yeah, who knows what is going to come tomorrow? So I'm not a fangirl of anybody, right? But at the same time, I think we can't be doing this, let's do this balancing game. And I really liked what you said, Meena, right? About you can't be, BJP light. Hindutva light is not going to win against Hindutva Agmark,
Agmark.
right?
Yeah.
Agmark is going to win. And that is the case. So if you are standing against something, what is that position? And I think this guy is like articulating that position quite well right now. And that's important.
Okay. All of your
Final
points I
words.
agree with. Here is my problem with Rahul Gandhi. He thinks
We are ending with
everything-
this. I don't
Yes.
want everybody to jump in now.
Yeah, I listen to all of you.
My
all this
martial law
while.
is in place now. Yes.
So this is my problem. I'm completely in agreement with the things he says. My problem is with what he does with it, right? You talk about caste census across the country, but when it comes to Karnataka, where your government has been in power now 2 terms, not consecutive, you have not allowed, and I put this on him, you have not allowed the chief minister to even accept and table it in the assembly, far from making it public. So it's hypocrisy there. Second thing is, even this entire Adani issue, you're outside the parliament making a spectacle out of it. You're trying to grab headlines. Fantastic. It's going viral on social media. You're in Maharashtra. You're in BKC, which is a kilometer away from Dharavi, which is the epicenter of the entire Adani issue. You do not go to Dharavi and talk to people. What Rahul Gandhi is missing out on is the fact that Adani, what he's doing is impacting people. So you have to take the people along. You can't make it just an ideological argument because ideology is not enough to win election. Your BJP has ideology plus people on the ground working all the time. Your Congress worker is missing in most of the elections. That is where Rahul Gandhi is not in sync with what's happening on ground. And that's why you need a Kharge in the forefront, not as a symbolic leader, to take responsibility away from Rahul Gandhi, but give him real power, make him run the party and the elections, and you will see the change both ideologically and electorally.
Just to sort of like last word, I'm really sorry. I don't think Kharge has been symbolic. I think the fact that they did quite well in this election has a lot to do with the fact
And
that
I
Kharge
think
has
even
done
the
a bunch.
manifesto and Rahul Gandhi's
Yes.
caste census
Exactly.
demand also comes from Kharge's
Kharge.
politics.
But what happens on ground? That's my problem.
Okay, martial law in place. We have to stop this discussion. We have to go third and final discussion. But before I go to third and final one, which we'll keep short, I want to just plug a few articles here which everybody talked about so that people know which that is. One, of course, is Meena's profile. Meena, what she wrote in the Outlook after she went for the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Read that. The second is Sudipto Mondal, our colleague's profile of Mallikarjun Kharge. It's a really beautiful profile of Kharge's politics and why he's important. Now we go to the last and final topic, which is about what is happening in Tamil Nadu. We'll do a quick discussion on this. The fact VCK, which is an ally of the DMK, has now suspended its vice president Adav Arjuna after he came to an event. It was a book being published on Ambedkar. He was actually his company was a co-publisher along with the Vigadan magazine. And on the stage, along with actor Vijay, who's just launched his own party called TVK, they both take on the DMK. So Adav Arjuna, who's the vice president of the VCK, which is an alliance with the DMK, goes on the stage and calls DMK a dynastic party, etc., becomes a huge embarrassment and problem for the VCK, and the VCK ends up suspending Adav Arjuna. Meena, let me come to you first. There are two things here, right? First, what is the VCK's compulsion to suspend Adav Arjuna? And second, what was VCK's compulsion to take Adav Arjuna into the party and put him in this vice president post?
Okay, I'll come from the second question on why Adav is in the party and actually in such a position. Because that I find it very common discourse everywhere. People are like, how did he come here? Because he also happens to be, I've never met this person. Uh, so I don't know anything about them. I'm saying this as a commentator. So from outside, the impression is that Adav comes from money. He's the son-in-law of Santiago Martin, and therefore it's an influential person buys his position in a Dalit organization. But I think that it's likely the facts are actually different, because the VCK did not start off as a political party. It started as a mass movement of Dalit people, a very Dalit militant organization that later became a political party, that later is now a recognized political party. And at some point, the VCK, which grew out of Dalit militancy and Dalit resistance, decided that in order to not get ghettoized in electoral politics, decided that I think they properly call it the Velachery resolution, agreed and said that in order not to move ourselves away from the mainstream, that when women join the party and when non-Dalits join the party, they will be given important positions. And whereas positions, for instance, there is a lot of for instance, you said he's the vice president. I think he's actually the vice general secretary, what you call in Tamil the Tunai Poduch Selalar. So there are 10 of them in the party. There are so on there's a president, and then there are two general secretaries, and then there is 10 people who are vice general secretaries, or joint what they call the joint general secretary, Tunai Poduch Selalar. And and this is not the first time that someone joins the party at that rank. For instance, when Kaleko Tudayam joined, he joined as a Tunai Poduch Selalar, joint general secretary. There's a history of this. I think there were a couple of Muslims who joined the party. Alu Shanawaz, when he joined the party, I think for a lot of people, this is a kind of direct. It's not a competitive thing. It's much more, like positions within the party. Even if they are out of selection, there is competition. For instance, to the district secretary, there are a couple of Dalit organizers on the ground, or long-term VCK cadres on the ground, and then you select. I think here it's much more a nominated post, and that's why I think Adar, being a non-Dalit, ends up in this position. And I think this is part of the way the VCK embraces non-Dalits and women into their fold. So this is just something I wanted to clarify. So it's not like he paid a money and got this post, which is the general impression. I think that's also part of how casteism functions, right? Nobody is going to look at the DMK or ADMK or BJP and say, "Oh, rich guy joins, he paid you and he got this post." When it is Dalits doing politics, especially democratic politics, it becomes so easy to say this kind of thing. And the second thing is the compulsion to suspend him. I think this is quite interesting, because in some ways, if you look at just the message of what Adav says, not the message about we have to end this DMK rule. I think that is problematic in the sense that you are still part of the alliance, and therefore it's an embarrassment. But this is not the first time that Adav has been outspoken, right? Like previously, he spoke about a coalition government, and he was reiterating what was part of the VCK's general idea that Aatchilum Pangu, Adhikarathilum Pangu, we need power sharing at the level of governance, and at the level of power itself. And so I think that follows a lot of what the VCK itself stands for, right? Like they want representation, like true representative democracy, where every coalition partner, because you win as a coalition, then why do you form government as an individual party? You should still have representation from them, because only then you also understand, like the VCK on its own cannot capture Tamil Nadu politics and form the government. The only way you get a space in government is by being a coalition partner. So I think that what Adav spoke there, especially on a stage like that, especially in which he openly says, he talks about makes a reference to Red Giant movies, or makes a reference to dynastic politics, and says this has to end. And I believe that it is hugely, embarrassing for both the DMK and the VCK. They are still alliance partners. This is where my understanding of this whole. Other people were suggesting, is it Tiruma controlling Adav and making him say these anti-DMK things? Is it a trump card that he's using? But I believe that I'm not even sure I can 100% bet on Rahul. I wish I could, and I do. On whether he's going to stay anti-Adani all his life and anti-crony capitalist all his life. But I really can bet on Tiruma on the fact that his entire, right from the 90s or 92, let's say the Babri Masjid thing and all, or Advani's Rath Yatra, he's been singularly against the BJP. So if it takes the DMK to defeat the BJP, he is going to stay with the DMK. It doesn't matter what he faces. It's not a question of them giving 2 seats, them saying no seat, them saying 4 seats. I think this ideological commitment makes him possibly, bad at his bargaining powers, but he's definitely not at any point, as far as I can see or predict or understand the situation, somebody who is going to ditch them, because I think his foremost primary ideological problem is to keep BJP out of Tamil Nadu.
Hmm. So, first thing, I'm sorry that I got the designation wrong. It is just a bad day for me. I had a flight. I have to say this in the podcast itself. Akasha Airlines. The flight kept
Oh
delaying.
God.
There were no announcements. Then they kept changing the gate. It is like really horrible these days how they change the gates. Now, coming back to the point, Sleepless Danya has to say that. So, for those who do not get the connection, Adava Arjuna is the son in law of Santiago Martin, who's known as a lottery king. And the lottery king is the one who, when electoral bond data got out, we know paid almost as much as MEIL. In fact, he paid 1,368 crores via electoral bonds, of which 500 crores went to the DMK. So this is a man with money, and Adhav Arjuna is his son-in-law, who was a political consultant for the DMK first, and then he joins the VCK. This entire thing happens, and then he's suspended as the joint general secretary. But my thing is that, are we also looking at some kind of realignment, Pooja, where there is a possibility that perhaps in the near future you will see the AIDMK coming together with Vijay, and one party that they thought they could take along with them was the VCK.
Uh, Ideologically, I don't know how that will work, because let's not forget that ADMK is still in talks with BJP.
I'm
And
keeping BJP out of the equation now.
but we are keeping it. We
Hmm.
don't know if they'll keep. It's not up to us.
Yeah.
So if those talks are happening, I don't know how ADMK will balance the conversation with BJP and VCK at the same time. And I hope that VCK and BJP will not be on the same platform through ADMK.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
That's not happening. I hope I'm not
But
proven wrong.
Meena, is that a realignment? No, I'm saying if the BJP is kept out of the equation, is that a realignment that could possibly happen of the AIDMK, Vijay, and VCK coming together? Which is why Tirumalavan
With
has been under.
BJP.
No BJP. No BJP.
Without
No BJP.
BJP.
Without
I'm saying
BJP,
without
we're
the
saying.
BJP, because that's the reason why Tirumalavan was under pressure to not even go for this book launch. He was a guest alongside Vijay.
No, no. I have an understanding of that situation. Okay, let me. It's slightly crude, but I'll tell you what is happening here.
Yes, give us
In
the
my,
tea.
my perspective, I was sitting here this morning. I was standing on my terrace this morning and just thinking about this. There's something about Tamil people's culture, no? Like, see, if Leena is a man and I'm talking to Leena again in some Mottamadi, people are like, something inka chal raha hai, something is going on between these two. I think this is a perception problem in Tamil Nadu. Two people talk to each other, either man
Sorry,
and
but we have to take a laughing break for this. Mottamadi. What is that song?
Or love Jodi.
so it's like we have to constantly have a chastity test, like I don't believe in chastity and all, but Tamil politics is like that. So this guy gets on the stage itself, like Dinamalar, even the, see, he's a politician. Every politician comes together. People give books. I have been on a stage in which, not the same stage at the same time, but Ramata was a speaker after me. But doesn't mean that it changes me. But it's not the same in Tamil Nadu, right? Like you are on the same podium. It means that they expect that in front of all the cameras they're going to like maybe whisper some numbers to each other or come to a deal.
Get
No,
married.
you really
Exchange
get
rings.
married. So change rings. I don't know. So the thing is so we are living in also a society where we are so juvenile. Believe me, we are a 5,000-year-old civilization, but we behave like kindergarteners when it comes to he talked to her, he likes her, he touched her, she smiled at him.
But Meena, isn't politics also about all these, about perception, right? Because imagine if Vijay is making statements against DMK and their politics, and an ally is sitting next to him.
It
and
does
you
look
don't-
like Mottamadi
right?
politics.
And if you don't publicly, openly contradict him, that means that you're in agreement because you're on the stage. So it is a sort of political messaging, right?
He has to not go there to avoid it. But I also believe that having an alliance partner, there's only so much that Vijay could have pushed the envelope on. Even criticizing DMK, you have a certain civilizational or cultural check kept for you. So yeah, that kind of embarrassment would have been even bigger, right? You cannot predict at any point what he's going to say. He already said payasam, right? Like to all the anti-fascist people. So yeah, that's also
Okay,
true.
1 minute, I'm confused. So you're saying, Meena, that TVK and VCK are not coming closer. Is that the point you're making?
No, that's not the point I'm making. I'm just saying that even for the sake of just a book release, it is not such an easy thing to go because of the way perceptions are changing. The way perceptions, the way Dinamalar was trying to frame it, the way they were trying to predict there's already an alliance in place just because two people are going to come on the same screen, right? Same stage. So all I was saying is that therefore this necessity to not go, to avoid, to pretend, to actually not do something. People release books all the time. Like why should he have shown so much caution? And I think this extreme caution comes out of a society that draws so many conclusions. So that's where I come from. But in terms of the thing is TVK again, I wanted to say I believe that in general we are overestimating how much their impact would be. Tamil Nadu has a huge tradition of cinematic politics and politicians. Vijay-Kant was there. T. Rajendran started a party. Rajnikant was meant to start a party. Sarath Kumar is started his own party. He joined the BJP.
You forgot Kamal Hassan. You forgot Kamal
Yeah, Kamal
Hassan.
Hassan. Yeah, Kamal Hassan. So this and this goes a long way. You see, I don't know. We can trace it right from the colonial times or something. The influence of theater and cinema on people in politics, right from Anna. Everybody was, Karunanti. Everyone is involved in the film industry. So someone in the film industry coming to Tamil Nadu politics is a routine event.
Well, to add to that, let me go back to one of our headlines and say why Bollywood and Narendra Modi getting together with the Kapoor family. It has been good political strategy is always to have a cultural tie up with the movie industry and get that narrative across to people through them, and that is what Raj Kapoor movies in the earlier days used to do. Manoj Kumar movies used to do. So they all did these things of tying like nationalization project that Indira Gandhi did had a lot of these kind of emotions work out when there is some cultural backing too, and Tamil Nadu politics has always been mindful of that and good at that, but it's nowadays the national politics, the opposition party who's failing to make use of that kind of cultural narrative thinking.
So we're wrapping this up, but I want to say something to Jasim and Bhuvan, who will be editing this. So one, of course, we figured out Raga for Raga in this segment. Then we got Motamadi politics, which is basically Meena saying that if you stand in the Motamadi, Thirumavalvan and Vijay is standing on the Motamadi together would have been love politics. And the third, we will never cut it out. When Leena is talking, Leena kept doing some symbol and balloons started coming on her screen.
Yes.
Because I think it's the Mac or whatever. So the balloons will be there on the screen when you watch
I
it.
had no idea
Yeah.
how that happened. I'm
So
gonna
those
try
listening
once
can
more.
come to YouTube and see the balloons when Leena's talking about something very serious. Yeah. So
Do you
we
know how we inaugurate the WLF, the Wynad Literature Fest? It's always about balloons. We just release the balloons, and it was beautiful to watch. And we put up huge balloons
You were
around the
dreaming
venue,
about it.
and
You
that
were
is how.
dreaming about releasing those balloons, and they just metaphorically appeared, literally appeared. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we'll now quickly go to the recommendations. We'll start with Meena with an M.
Okay, so yes, Bhuvan called me yesterday and he actually warned me. The previous guest forgot about the recommendations. So, oh, okay. I said, okay, no, I come with it. So I don't have a book to show or anything, but Dr. Anand Teltunde, who's been in jail for the Bhima Koregaon case, has released a very wonderful biography of Ambedkar, a critical biography of Ambedkar called Iconoclast. This is the other Ambedkar book that you should be reading, and it's a massive book. It's over 500 pages, and it's really well researched. So go and pick it up. One book is enough for you, and more.
No, that's enough.
I'm
That's
judging a
enough.
book price, so I have to read 20 books so I can go on for a long time. But yeah.
Leena.
Yeah, so I have literature on my mind because it's a season of Wynad Literature Fest, and I'll recommend something for the star speaker, the most highest selling, I think currently the most favorite author in Kerala, K.R. Meera. I really liked her cover, which was translated by Nisha Susan into English. I felt it was a very like, I'm not a person who reads fiction anymore. I'm completely a non-fiction person, but this is a fiction book that I picked up and didn't disappoint me. I fell in love with the book, so that's going to be. I know there are more celebrated works of her, but this is my favorite.
Okay, mine is a shorter read, and I think it's a caravan piece. For a change, it's not Leena who's recommending it, but I think it's relevant this week for two reasons. One, because of Justice Yadav, and also because December 12th, today, is when the Supreme Court will be hearing the case on Places of Worship Act. I think you should read "Lowering the Bar." That's the headline of the caravan piece, which talks about the takeover, or at least the spread of the Sangh ideology within the judiciary. I think you should
The
totally
deep
read that.
state.
Your words, not mine.
Not George Soros, the deep state. Yeah, Raga?
Raga is the most unprepared because Raga was brought in last second. Therefore, my recommendation is very simple. Please go to Reddit. Go to all of the Ask India, India relationships, Ask Indian women, Ask Indian men subreddits, and the gender wars that are happening over there, and the cultural conversations that are happening over there are very insightful. I think. I mean, I'm saying this quite literally. I'm not like making fun of any of this. I'm saying quite literally to see these interactions happen in everyday life. I've lived on Twitter mostly, and Reddit is like sort of new for me. I'm lurking over there. It's quite interesting. It's quite something.
So I have a very serious book to suggest because last time I gave a children's book. It's an old book from the 1960s. It's The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's William T. Shirer's seminal work on the Nazi empire. But I think this is a book. People used to say that at a time when people were forgetting what it was like during Hitler's time, this book came as a reminder. So I feel people should read it at times. It's very difficult to read, but that book has very weird print, the ones that you get in India. But please do try to read it. So, yeah, it is very interesting South Central. Pooja is, of course, very, very happy because I did not get to speak at all. But that will not
And
repeat,
it wasn't
Pooja.
even my doing.
Yeah. Okay. So, thank you, everyone. Meena, Leena, Pooja, Raga, and to all those watching. Please catch a very special episode of What's Your Ism next Monday, where Sudipta Mondal is on the hot seat and I get to ask him, what is your ism? And I don't, yeah. And he went round and round, but I think he didn't answer the question. It's a very interesting episode. And before I sign off, once more, do become a paid subscriber. This is very important to us because only then can we continue doing the work that we do. Thanks to my producer Bhuvan, editor Jasim Ali, Megha Mugundan, and Ajay, who are helping us with the episode. Have a good week.